Game jams are awesome. They allow you to try stupid things you'd never have the freedom to do in a professional setting, and they condense the learning experience of starting and completing a game down into whatever the time frame of the jam is. That could be 2 weeks, that could be 2 days. It is a great way to learn doing game jams. And how do you make the most out of it? How do you learn as much as you can during that time? Well, there's a few things I really want to drill into your head, and if you're new to game jams, these are things you probably haven't thought of, and if you're a jam veteran, it's still very worth just like drilling this into your head again. Okay, so how do you prepare? The first thing I want you to do a week before the jam, or however long you have before the jam starts, is to set up a base project. Now, the reason why we're doing this is to ensure that the project builds, because if a project isn't building from the get-go before you've done any work on it, there's some problems you need to fix. And those are not problems you want to try and fix when you're only working on this for like 2 weeks or 2 days. You know, you want to focus all that jam time on the jam itself. So solve all these issues beforehand. Build the project, whether it's Unreal, Unity, Godot, GameMaker, just make sure you're not running into problems before the creative work starts. And that leads me on to the next point, which is set up source control or version control, especially if you are working in a team, because you don't want to be wasting time, you know, copying everything to a USB and then putting it in someone else's computer and then getting all those files into the engine and realizing that references are broken and you don't have the files you need for it to work. Just set up source control. It will handle all of that for you. Source control can take a minute to wrap your head around, but learning it now will help not only for this jam, but any jam later down the line. And also, if you're wanting to get into the industry, if this is you just kind of practicing for it, every studio uses version or source control of some degree, so you need to learn it. The next thing I want to say is specifically for if you're in a team, make sure everyone has the same engine version. You don't want to be the person on the team who didn't get the memo on which engine version you're using and having to waste so much time downloading a new version. This has happened to me on countless jams, and it's just really frustrating. Come in and make sure that you know what engine everyone is using, make sure what version everyone is using is the same, and you're good to go. The next point kind of mixes the preparation and the ongoing work into kind of one point, is be prepared to cut corners. You are making a game in a very short period of time, and whether you are doing it solo or in a team, there are always going to be gaps in either expertise or desires what people want out of the project. So if the jam allows it, go and get, free assets from the internet, or go buy a system that you need to make yours work. Just make sure that if you're using these, A, as I said, the jam allows it, and B, you are crediting them appropriately. You don't want people, mistaking other people's work for your own. That's bad. Now, this isn't going to be always allowed in the jam, but if you don't really care about the art for this jam, just quickly sketch something up in Paint, or if you need audio, just get your mic and make stupid sound effects, and it doesn't really matter the quality of them as long as what you're trying to get out of the jam is worth it to you. So now the game jam has started. What do you do now? Well, start planning. You've got the theme, you know what you need to do. Just make sure that when you are planning, you are not blowing it out of scope. I keep saying this, you are making a game in a very short amount of time. Choose one mechanic or choose one system and polish the heck out of it. The amount of times I see games who are trying to do too much in a very short period of time and either make a really long, boring game or a game that's just absolutely broken. It's ridiculous. Just make sure you choose one mechanic and polish the crap out of it. Fix that up and make it nice. Those are the games that go on and really succeed after a game jam. Now that's the thing, is that after a game jam, even if it's a very small project, you can then build on top of it. The scope just needs to be really, really small during the jam. The next thing is don't forget audio. Audio is single-handedly one of the most important aspects of a jam, and the amount of times I see especially student jams who are just completely silent and kind of void of any life, it makes the world of a difference. Now, not everyone's gonna download your game and play it with sound on, but those who do are really gonna notice it. As I said, it single-handedly lifts a game from really, really dull to having some life. So and the next point is you need to make sure that people know how to play your game. This is to do with controls, and this is to do with the game's objectives. If you're not making these clear in your game jam, people are going to put it down after 30 seconds. They're not going to spend the time to learn it themselves. Now, this can be as easy as adding a pause menu and adding a controls screen or like a wall of text displaying the objective. But even better than that, if you can work that into the game's systems, have a little tutorial at the start that teaches you, that's even better. Just make sure that people are understanding how to play your game. Now, this is a small one, but again, the amount of times I see this in student jams is incredible. I mean, I am guilty of it as well in my earlier jams, is that I had no way to exit out of the game. The game just kind of loaded up, it loaded into the level, you played it, and then you were trying to click out, but the mouse is locked into the viewport and you have to kind of Alt F4 out of the game. Just have a button to exit out. Now, this isn't as important if you're working in a browser game. Obviously, it's in a browser and you can kind of just close the tab. But if you're making a .exe or something that you download and play, just make sure there's a button to exit out of the game. The next point is a really important one, but it's unfortunately one that a lot of people overlook, is that during the jam, you don't have to work on the jam for the entire length of time that it is going on for. Your work will be so much better if you sleep well, if you keep on top of your food and keep on top of your hydration and shower and, just take care of yourself. Don't burn out doing the game jam. Take breaks, go for walks, meditate, allow your brain some rest in between. The amount of times I have come out of a game jam, especially in my student years, and just needed like a week or two to rest up because I've just been like dead to the world because it's interrupted my sleep pattern or something, is incredible. Just take care of yourself. So now you've made it to the end of the game jam. What now? Well, if it's a professional game jam and you have a page on like Itch or something, spruce up that page. This is going to be the first impression people have of your game. If you have a page for your project that looks blank, it is just blank with a title, people are going to assume that your game similarly didn't have any love put into it. You want people to assume the best of your game, right? So this is marketing 101. Just make it pretty. Add descriptions, add screenshots, add anything you can that would increase the likelihood of people clicking on your project. If you don't have people clicking on your project, you're not going to do well, right? And the next point is play other people's games. This is a learning experience. You are going to learn so much from how other people tackle A, the theme, and B, problems that you might similarly be struggling with. If you can, if you're working in the same area as other people, or you can send your project during the jam and get people to playtest it, even better. You're going to root out so many problems just playtesting it and getting an outside perspective, especially when you're so close to the project and it's like going on for such a short period of time. Playtesting is essential for finding just the obvious bugs that you aren't seeing. So yeah. And the last point I have is it's okay to fail. You are trying to make a game, as I said, in a very short period of time. That is very difficult to do. Not everything is going to come out a success. I would say personally, maybe 30 to 40% of the game jams I've been in have brought out something that I've been proud to work on. Everything else has been kind of just like, it is what it is. But they've all been great learning experiences. I have learned how to reduce the scope of what I'm working on. I have learned how to, prepare for a game jam, as I've mentioned previously in this. I have learned so much. Just make sure that you are taking what you did and learning from it. Don't just throw away a project and be like, oh, that was awful. I don't want to see that again. Dissect it. Really work out what went wrong. Whether it's just like a problem you had with code, go in afterwards and figure out what went wrong. That way you're not making the same mistakes over and over in the future. Learn from your failures. Failure will teach you more than success. This one is obvious, but have fun. You are making a game. You are not trying to save the world. You are allowed to be goofy. You are allowed to try things that you'd never try otherwise. And yeah, even if you fail, as long as you enjoyed the journey, perfect. Alright, that's all I have for this video. If you think I missed anything, leave them down in the comments below, and let's just make sure that everyone going into a game jam has the best experience possible. Let's give them the best advice. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe. If you didn't like the video, tell me why in the comments down below. And yeah, I will see you in a future video. Alright, see you later.